jab is a key punch. Sokolowski has learnt a lot as a journeyman. He's learnt a whole lot. He's fighting George Fox. George must be maybe 6'7", 6'8". This is Don Charles' son. He's a big boy. And I'm assuming he has a way longer reach than Sokolowski. So Sokolowski, he comes out and he's trying to push the pace, but he uses his jab. He throws the jab like he was throwing it at someone his height. And he's catching the chest and the torso of George Fox. Skills. He's not panicking because he's fighting a taller guy, pushing his chin up in the air, trying to jab at him. No. Just jabs at the chest and the torso. Throws the combinations to the chest and torso, feeling his way into the fight. That's skills. Very neat compact shots. It's a difficult round to score because, like George got so much length. Throwing some jabs out there, but there's nothing on them. There's nothing on them at all. You could argue Sokolowski's done the better work. I'm watching George, and I know he's sparred with Tyson Fury, and I can see he's heavily influenced by Tyson Fury. The way he's jabbing with his left and then dropping the left, perhaps trying to lure his opponent in, but he just can't put it together like Tyson Fury. And there's nothing wrong with trying to mimic someone. It just might take time to get it down. Some nice combinations by George. He's got pretty quick hands. At times he does look a little Muhammad Ali-ish. He called him Muhammad Ali? No. I didn't say... What I meant was he's got a relaxed punching action. Probably studied Ali. There's ability there. Tough round to score. George's conditioning is not looking right. Like, if you're going to emulate Tyson Fury, at least don't try and emulate his body shape. I'm not saying it's a bodybuilding contest, but he needs better conditioning. There's no doubt about that. But he's only had one fight since November 2019, and that was in July this year. A 4-round points win. And he looks rusty. He does look rusty. While Camille, this is his 4th fight this year. And he's been fighting prospects like Solomon Decruz and David Adelaide, who he arguably beat. 2020, he was probably one of the busiest fighters in the world. He fought about 6 times. Mostly losses, but he loses on points. Got a few victories. It's an interesting fight. George's range is keeping him in there, even though he's not using that jab nowhere near as effective as he needs to be. And his combinations, they need work. They need work. Sokolowski, he's rocking, he's rolling. Head movement is pretty good. He's still working that body with the jab. And now he's looking to time that slow jab with overhand rights. We're in the 2nd round. George landed some good right crosses and he was getting confident, started dropping his hands like he's really going to go to work. It wasn't a bad round for him. Round 3. Into the 4th. Round 5. Sokolowski's doing a better job of blocking the jab. He's ate a few because he's puffed up around the face. But, George just doesn't have the reflexes for the style he's trying to do. The counter punch thing and then sway out of the way from the shot. He just doesn't have the reflexes. And now Sokolowski is coming from both channels. He's landing good left hooks and he's got the right over the top as well. And he's still throwing that jab to the stomach. His gas tank seems to be in better shape than I've seen it previously as well. And George went from dropping his hands low. Now he's got his hands really high. But as soon as he goes to punch and he leads off, he gets countered with a hook. There's a Sokolowski round. And now it's touch and go. Who's going to get the W with 3 to go? Tough one to score, George needs to be using his youth and he needs to be driving Sokolowski back on the back foot behind his jab. But he doesn't have the conditioning. Like the conditioning, listen, I learned through my friend who was a pro boxer, RIP, that if you're not sure how good you are as a boxer, you have to get yourself in shape at the bare minimum. You've got to get yourself in shape. And even if you know what you're doing, you've got to be in shape. But especially if you're not quite sure of what you are yet as a boxer, you need at the minimum to be in top shape. And he's not. But he didn't start assertively and it's hard to get into the fight now for him. Tough round to score. Sokolowski stole the fight in the last 2, landed way too much overhand rights over George's low left and his lazy jab. Way too many. Every time Sokolowski threw a hook from either hand, he looked likely to land it. And although he didn't have the power to knock George over, and George was pretending that the punches weren't doing anything, Sokolowski's piling up points. And he deserved the decision. You know, like George didn't get the protection that David Adeleye got when he fought Sokolowski and the fight went to the cards. After going 5-0, this is his first L on his record. Don Charles won't be best pleased at all. I tell you what, there's been 3 prospects who've tried their luck with Sokolowski in the ring in the last year or so. And out of David Adeleye, who I think got lucky, George Fox, who lost, and Solomon Dacus, who got a win on points over Sokolowski. Dacus looked the best out of the 3. He looked the best. And now his win over Sokolowski is looking even better. It's looking even better now. Yeah, Sokolowski had no respect for George's punch power, his jab, his right hand. George tried to set up uppercuts and walk Sokolowski into them. He was unsuccessful at that. And although Sokolowski never hurt George, he was landing so frequently, he was wondering, boy, is he going to go over from one of these if he gets caught right? People still use terms like British stoppage, and I don't know what that means. I was watching Austin Amo Williams return to the ring, and Amo is talented. He's obviously had his issues concerning mental health, and he's came back. He's a big middleweight, he's a southpaw, he's aggressive, and he can get caught himself, but he's powerful. And his fight against Tavius got into the second round, and it was quite an exciting fight. And then Amo landed that big left hook. He's got some power there. He's got some power. And his opponent went over, and it was a good knockdown. But Quatavius, he went down. Him and Amo got tangled up as he went down. He got back up, and the referee just waved it off. His legs weren't wobbling. He was looking at the referee, and the referee waved it off. The referee didn't even check him over. I don't know what's happened to boxing. This wasn't nothing like the Lyndon Arthur stoppage. This was nothing like that. This guy wanted to fight on. His legs weren't wobbling, and I guess I weren't close enough to see if his eyes were glazed up or anything like that, but to me it looked like a premature stoppage. I don't know how far Amo can go in the game, but if he can keep focus, he's dangerous. It's pretty dangerous. It's pretty exciting. Now someone has to establish who manages and promotes this guy Hrgovic. Is Sauerland promoting him, or is Eddie Hearn promoting him? What's going on with the guy? Like, who's the opponent that looks really much smaller than him? What's happening with his eliminator? Why ain't they paying out for better opponents for this guy right now? He needs a step up right now, don't he? What's happened to him and Michael Hunter since their eliminator fell through? They've just dropped off the radar, both of them. And Hrgovic to me looks heavy. Yeah, he's got some power there, heavy-handed, but he's not sharp, it's not snappy. I don't see him beating none of the top guys right now. I think he needs to get back around the 230 mark. 246 just looks ponderous to me. But is he motivated right now? Has all them eliminators that got declined took some of the focus away from him right now? Is he a bit disillusioned with the game? He should have had that eliminator a long time back. We've been talking about that for ages. You know, look, they're digging up these opponents for him, right? Who've got these records. The last one was 22-0, and this one was 10-0. But they can't fight. This Emir Ahmatovic, a German. And, you know, Hrgovic moved his hands through them, missed a lot, landed some clubbing blows, nothing really clean or devastating, and the referee stopped it in the third. His opponent was just an average cruiserweight who's ate a little more in recent years. He's a cruiserweight. The guy he fought is a cruiserweight. He's fought as low as 197 and 200. And look, we know a good cruiserweight can give heavyweights issues. We saw Usyk beat Joshua, but this guy is nowhere in that league. It's just a small guy for Hrgovic to pound on. It's in the record book, third round stoppage. He had an interview after, but kind of like Michael Hunter, I just couldn't even bother to listen to them speak because it just seems a little depressing that these two were at the front of the queue to challenge for one of the 4 belts, and now they're just languishing in obscurity. We saw Hunter this week drawing with Jerry Forrest, somebody who he previously outpointed a few years back, and Hrgovic is still fighting this level of opposition. The Olympics were in 2016. Tony Yoka's opponents have been way better than this. Now, for one, he's got too much managers and promoters. Now, either Nice or Eddie, maybe you better call up Jerry Forrest and give this guy a decent test. if you can't get the eliminator? Jerry Forrest has got 2 draws on the bounce against 2 world-ranked opponents. You could argue he won both of them fights. One of them opponents turned down an eliminator against Hrgovic. Let him have the fight. Let Jerry Forrest have the eliminator, since no one else wants it. I've got to be a bit self-indulgent when I talk about this fight here. I've been watching Pat Barrett since he won the British title from Tony Willis. That was around 89 or 90. I remember him defending either his British or European title against this British guy who was based out of Belgium. Was it McCreef? And McCreef scored a shock knockdown against Pat. Pat got up and he managed to get the knockout. Pat normally won by knockout, and he had put you in hospital type of power. He had 1 world title shot, that was at welter against Manning Galloway. Can't really explain Manning Galloway's style, but it's very, very awkward, very unconventional, and Pat just didn't get to grips. And, you know, Pat was a 140 pounder, and this is at 147, and, you know, he was inactive going in, and there was a lot of stuff going on, and he never quite got the world title. But he was one of my favourite British fighters, so I've been following from when he's been holding up that gym up in Moston that he himself has been going to from a boy when he trained with Brian Hughes, and he took the gym over from Brian Hughes when he passed away. Black Flash Promotions. And he's a very determined man because he kept that going for a while until he was able to get Zelfa and Lyndon on a bigger platform with Frank Warren. Zelfa is now on Matchroom and DAZN, and he's managed to guide both his family members, like Zelfa is family and Lyndon is family. Pat is Black Flash, Zelfa is Brown Flash, and it's a great story. You know, Lyndon and Zelfa both lost brothers to the streets of Manchester. It's a great, when I say great story, it's a real story. So I was a little conflicted, but being a Londoner and an honorary Hackney resident, the Tottenham boy really, it was Team Yarde all day for beats. The tribalism just came out for this fight. Not so much the first one, but this one here, it just came out. I was like, so I was just thinking, yo, Yarde, I know, Yarde used to live in Hackney. You got to do it for the ends. This is for the ends right here. This one here, because a lot of shit has been spoken. And Anthony kind of reminded me, on a smaller scale, of Roy Jones avenging the loss to Montel Griffin. Kind of reminded me of that. I think things just got on a bad trajectory for Team Arthur. They didn't want the rematch. They didn't want it. They wanted to move on to world honours perhaps, or whatever. Frank Warren had other ideas. Frank Warren didn't want Lyndon to win. He wanted Anthony to win. Anthony got the great muscular physique and the knockout puncher, and he's got a marketable look, let's just say that. So Frank wanted Anthony to win. But Lyndon got on his jab and done a great job. Anthony hurt Lyndon late on in the 12th. And the rematch didn't start at round 1, it started at round 13 for Anthony. Lyndon, after the first fight, told Yarde that he hurt him. Lyndon tried to clean it up and said, no, I didn't say I did. And then he was saying, oh, you don't know what punch you hurt me with. Yarde probably thought it was the headshot that hurt Lyndon in the last round, but I think Lyndon may have said it was a body shot. So James Cook, Ade, don't forget Ade, you know, this is Lions in the camp, and Tunde, dream it, believe it, become it. They worked so hard. Like, Yarde had no fear of burning out no gas tank or nothing. I don't know if you watched some tape of James Cook, because Cook was a man. He was a good boxer, but he'd put it on you, bro. James would put some volume on you and make you work. If you're going to beat James, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to work hard. James is one of them old school Jamaicans. Lyndon, you know, the trajectory just went wrong. Like I say, Team Arthur, they didn't really want the fight. They started off on the wrong foot with Frank. Frank put a tweet out that he's informed the British Boxing Board of Control that we have them under contract for the rematch. There was talk that they didn't want the fight in Birmingham, or Yarde didn't want to fight in Manchester. Pat, he threw a few subliminals at Frank Warren. Maybe we need to be somewhere where we're treated with respect. There was the exchange between Yarde and Tunde, which I don't know if Pat regretted where he said he was going to punch him in the face, and it's gone and it's went, so it is what it is. Lyndon looked a bit uneasy all through the build-up. Yarde was adamant that the family tragedies that he went through impaired his focus, and it's going to be a totally different story this time. And he's vindicated as of now. Lyndon was talking about his boy's not going to be at this fight here. He's not going to take him to a fight where he could take more punishment than usual. That was a very strange admission from Lyndon. Very strange. When he was in the ring, he squatted down, and it was almost like he was in search of divine intervention to get him out of here. Yarde said he saw. He looked a little jittery, was how Yarde phrased it. Jittery in the introductions. Lyndon, unlike George Fox, he does know how to throw that jab. Pat has taught him how to throw it, how to feint, make your opponent react, and then it's easier to control how you're going to land the jab. He tried to do that early, but he couldn't get that ring center because Yarde was like an animal. His own left jab was very hard, and he slammed it in Lyndon's face any opportunity. He got to the body early, straight down to business, big left hooks. Lyndon tried to talk to Yarde and said, look, I'm still here. I ain't gone nowhere. I took that punch, I ain't gone nowhere. But Yarde was undeterred. Lyndon was reduced to clinging on and trying to maul and spoil. He didn't want no open boxing. He didn't want to exchange. His confidence wasn't there. Wherever it went, it wasn't there. He tried to maul his way through. He did land a couple of right hands, but Yarde just walked through them. It was like a tank versus a pea shooter. All I know, man, they had that camera angle on BT, a different camera angle. And when Yarde threw one particular left hand to the body, whew, that body punching display, that was one of the better body punching displays we've seen from a British fighter in a long time. And then there was a little short chopping right hand. Arthur ended up partially going through the ropes. Some people said it was a premature stoppage. They got to be out of their mind. It wasn't no premature stoppage. What a lot of people don't understand, they think it was a stoppage. No, it wasn't a stoppage. He was counted out. He got up at around 8 or 9. And when you get up, you've got to be ready with your hands up, or you get counted out in the act of rising. And in any case, when he got up, he was looking towards his corner, right? He wasn't looking at the action or the referee. He lost all interest in the fight. Some people say he quit. I'm not going to go there right now. But he was looking elsewhere. And then when he walked towards the corner, he squatted back down again because he never recovered from the finishing barrage. He didn't protest. Pat Barrett didn't protest. He was counted out. He was a beaten man. On Twitter, there's talk that he might be a free agent right now. Well, they're not going to stay at BT. I wouldn't have thought right now. Not with the relationship being in the place it is with Frank and them just losing. Does Frank still want them there? Didn't exactly put himself in the shop window with that performance. He'll get a deal somewhere else. As for Yarde, Frank Warren was talking about, why not make Buatsi and Yarde? They're very confident. Very confident. Buatsi's already blew off the Vlasov fight. I don't believe Joshua Buatsi was injured, and I'm a fan. I don't think he was injured. Is he going to blow this one off as well? He was there. With Dan Aziz, he was there. He wants to fight. He's always wanted it. But talk is talk. It looks like Bob Arum and Frank Warren are trying to make Anthony Yarde and Joe Smith, but they seem like they want to take on all comers right now. They're confident. The team is gelling very well together. Tunde said after Pat threatened to punch him in the face, paraphrasing, it seemed to have gave him this obsessive drive to study the game plan to a T. Dream it, believe it, become it, the man says. The best night of Anthony Yarde's professional career so far. Now, let me get this in. If it's a business decision, it's a business decision. Lennox Lewis took $4 million step aside to let Mike Tyson fight Bruce Seldon for the WBA title in '96, same night Tupac got murdered. So if it's a business decision, it's a business decision. And look, if it means we get an undisputed heavyweight champion, it is what it is. Like, as long as AJ realizes he might not get the first immediate shot at the winner, right? As long as he realizes that, it is what it is. Dylan might not be getting a shot till 2023, maybe even 2024. Just keeping it real. So step aside talks have begun, and they could have to pay up to $40 million to AJ. Not $4 million. He might get 10 times the amount what Lennox Lewis got. Not exactly going for glory, but that's a lot of money. Who turns down that type of money? Is what AJ's thinking. I get a title shot another time. According to Bob Arum, Saudi Arabia, they're interested in staging it for March. Maybe they could pay AJ to step aside and still have enough to pay Usyk and Fury their purses. It's going to take $40 million to make the step aside deal. I doubt even the Saudis are going to put up that kind of money. And Frank Warren is saying they're trying to work out a deal. AJ's not going to take $5 or $6 million. AJ's net worth is around $100 million. They're just stalling for time. That's all they're doing. They're just stalling for time to try and figure out their next move. They're just stalling for time. AJ's going to fight Usyk, barring any injuries going in, and that's going to be that. Fury's going to fight Dylan. Bob Arum said that's the next logical fight, and perhaps they're trying to build up some hype for that. So wait there. John Fury was backing his son to beat down Jake Paul, then catch a sexual assault charge by bending over his girlfriend and then doing her like a doggy. Made a big fuss about this. And now Tommy's pulled out because of a bacterial infection and a broken rib. Tyron Woodley is on standby. Why would I really want to see that rematch? That was a horrible performance by Jake. He did shit all. And now you're going to give us a replay of that? People are going to pay to see that? I can't throw no shade at Jake. He's doing what he's got to do to get his money. And people are going to pay for it. Good luck to you. This Hamza Sheeraz thing, I don't see why it's causing so much controversy. They're acting like this kid is the worst kid in the world. Okay, he hit Bradley a couple of times when he was down. It was up to the referee to DQ Hamza. He gave Bradley time to carry on. He didn't DQ Hamza. Hamza got him out of there in the next round. That's that. That's that. I don't think Ricky Nunez is a good trainer for him. Either that or they still need to blood the relationship in. I don't know why Hamza is making this long letter like he has to explain anything to anybody. The referee is there to officiate the bout, not him. And if he's going to fight Bradley again early next year, they fight next year. And if Bradley feels he's aggrieved, he'll have a chance to make amends. You know, like Dominic Ingle is trying to say the only thing that turned the fight around was the illegal blows. No, he caught him with a legit right hand that put him down. Now, whether Bradley would have weathered the storm if he hadn't taken the punches when he was down, that's a different question. But the tide was turning. Bradley did well early, frustrating Hamza. I didn't score it, but he was in the fight, boxing on the back foot, showboating. Just have the rematch or just get on with it. You know, that's boxing. What I think happened personally is sometimes when a fighter goes down and they're not completely down and the fighter on the offense is in the ascendancy and the red mist has set in, they probably think it's fair game to throw them shots if he's not completely down. Because I've seen it happen so many times. And it's not until they're reprimanded they realise that they went a little too far perhaps. Bradley, I think, was down on one knee. He was on one knee.